On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, we're looking at how the Kansas City Chiefs just saved their season this Sunday by beating the nameless Washington football team. And yes, I mean it, they may have saved the season. Had the Chiefs lost on Sunday, they would have fallen to a 2-4 record in the very competitive AFC West. Their chances of making the playoffs would have become about as slim as my 5'10" self has of dunking a basketball on anything except a kiddie hoop. Now, the game was a tale of two halves for the Chiefs. The first half was ugly for the exact same reasons that this has kind of been an ugly season. A defense that stinks worse than a West Kansas feedlot, and an offense that keeps giving the ball to the wrong team. In the first half, turnovers kept being crippling for the offense. For the second week in a row, Tyreek Hill dropped the pass into the hands of an awaiting defender. There were more fumbles this week and a very silly interception in the second quarter instead of taking a sack for Mahomes. But somebody must have catered in Dunkin' Donuts coffee by the gallon at halftime because something changed. The Chiefs scored 21 in the second half, and Mahomes ended with a whopping 397 yards of passing after a very Mahomesy second half, including a fantastic deep pass with great touch and accuracy to Demarcus Robinson. Travis Kelce pushed through a number of little injuries to rack up 99 yards. Secondary receiving options such as Robinson or Hardman stepped up big with big plays as Tyreek Hill found himself in and out of the lineup with some injuries. Rookie center Creed Humphrey had another fine game. Guard Joe Tooney actually pushed through a broken hand to play better than you would expect with a broken hand. The offensive line as a whole held up pretty good, against a very talented Washington front seven. Things started to click. And, well, the Chiefs offense began to look like the Chiefs offense. In the second half, the Chiefs clawed their way back from what looked like an early end to this season's contention. So along with all Chiefs Kingdom, here's my collective sigh of relief and joy for the win. But here's my unpopular opinion of the week. By holding the Washington football team to 13 points, it might look like the Chiefs defense finally played awesome after every single week of the season playing very poorly. Well, they didn't quite get there. To be sure, they were improved. Absolutely. They only allowed 13 points. But due to injuries, an already bottom of the league Washington offense was without their two best offensive linemen. They were without their number 2 receiver. They were without, of course, their starting quarterback. They were playing a backup quarterback. I mean, this should have felt like a varsity team playing a JV team out there. But instead, Washington scored 13 points in the first half while easily moving the ball on the Chiefs' D. And also, big problem, for the second week in a row, the Chiefs defense had 0 sacks. So if you're a Chiefs fan like me and you're looking at these Chiefs sitting 3-3, but at the bottom of the AFC West, and you're hoping the offense can keep up what we saw in that second half versus the nameless Washington football team, well, then the big question for all of us becomes, how in the world can the Chiefs salvage their defense? I mean, really, think about it. Look at the schedule. In these next coming weeks, the Chiefs are going to have to play Derrick Henry, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and Dak Prescott. Yeah, those guys are not the Washington JV team. So unless big changes are made on our defense, there's no way we're going to make it through those guys in these upcoming weeks and record a winning record. So how in the world, how can the Chiefs salvage their defense so they don't throw away their season? And hey, really quick before we get to that question, if you want weekly Chiefs news and analysis, then make sure you like or subscribe or do all of the things that people do on this page, channel thing. So how can the Chiefs salvage their defense so they don't throw away their season? Well, the thing that will save us is exactly what the team learned on Sunday against Washington. Now, when I was with the Chiefs personnel department, one of the most often repeated phrases was simple: the tape don't lie. The Chiefs have had several failing players on defense throughout this season, but they were not willing to believe the tape and bench them. And I got to tell you, Man, I was frustrated last week listening to defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo claim that Daniel Sorensen was actually playing well. I mean, going into the game this weekend, he was giving away a perfect passer rating to opposing QBs. He had 9 missed tackles. He was so bad that Chiefs fans started a GoFundMe page to buy out his contract. I wanted to remind Spags, hey, Spags, tape don't lie. But that's why I guess you can't trust those pressers, and you can't apparently even trust the website depth chart because it still lists Sorensen as the starter. And in reality, the team finally started trusting that the tape don't lie. They started Juan Thornhill at safety, replacing Sorensen. And Sorensen then rotated into the game and out as a hybrid linebacker in the box. The Chiefs finally, for one position this year, trusted that the tape don't lie. And it did help. So, moving forward, if the Chiefs want to salvage their defense and save their season, they have to bring this principle to all 3 levels of their defense, that the tape don't lie, and make the necessary changes. Let's start with the changes that need to be made on the first level, the defensive line. The tape don't lie. After 6 weeks, the Chiefs have only 7 sacks, the very worst in the league. Just for reference, the top 10 defenses in the league have 2 to 3 times as many sacks as we do. When he returns from injury, the team needs to believe that the tape don't lie on Chris Jones. The experiment at defensive end isn't working. After achieving an all-pro career at defensive tackle while getting a grade of around 90 the last 4 seasons at PFF, Jones is hovering around 70, the worst grade of his career, because he moved to end. He's on pace to have the second lowest sack total of his career. He needs to make that move back to tackle. The tape don't lie. Also, to fix the other defensive tackle spot, the tape on Derek Nottie is really bad. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season anyway. Why not just bench him or trade him? Why not start the current backup, Tershawn Wharton? I mean, he has outplayed both current starters at defensive tackle. And you saw it, right? We all saw that amazing athletic interception right at the line of scrimmage by Wharton on Sunday. That was incredible. The tape don't lie. With that sort of athleticism and the starters in front of him really playing poorly, he should be starting. And the tape don't lie on Frank Clark. Clark is a distraction off the field with multiple firearm charges. He's the worst graded defensive end in the NFL, and his release would give us $19.5 million in cap space next season. I mean, just cut the guy. The tape don't lie. Then they could bring in 2 new defensive ends, current free agent defensive ends, Olivier Vernon, Adrian Claiborne, and Vic Beasley. They each have some injury issues and some other things, but every single one of them is better than Frank Clark. We can only get better by bringing a few of them in. The team should also make a call to New England. The Patriots were rumored to be shopping edge player Chase Winovich in the offseason, and they might part with him for as little as a 5th-round draft pick. We could also look into a trade for Emmanuel Ogbah with Miami. And boom, without giving away any big money deals or any high draft picks, our struggling defensive line would be completely revamped if only we can trust that the tape don't lie. On the second level of our defense, how can believing that the tape don't lie fix our linebackers? Well, during this season, Hitchens and Neiman keep getting a lot of snaps. Hitchens as the top linebacker and Neiman as the 3rd linebacker. They keep getting a lot of snaps, even though they're 2 of the worst graded linebackers in the league. Meanwhile, the Chiefs still have Nick Bolton on the bench. Neiman was particularly bad on Sunday. There was a really ugly blown coverage. Did you see that? For the easy second quarter touchdown. It was just bad. Then, interestingly, Hitchens was hurt delivering an illegal hit in the second quarter. He did not return to the game, but we all saw that after he left, the defense played better without him in the lineup. Now, I hope he gets better. I hope he isn't seriously injured, but the team played better without him. Meanwhile, Nick Bolton is leading the team in tackles as he's listed as a backup. I mean, seriously, think about this. Have you ever heard of a linebacker leading a team statistically, but still being called a backup. I mean, that's nuts. The tape don't lie, but the team isn't trusting what's actually happening out on the field. Gay and Bolton should be starting, and Dorian O'Daniel should be given a crack at the third linebacker spot. Hitchens and Neiman should then find a crack on the bench. Salvaging the linebackers is as simple as reordering the depth chart. And then on the third level of our defense, how could believing that the tape don't lie fix the defensive backs? Well, at corner on Sunday, we found out that Fenton is legit. He had a great night, including 2 passes defended. He's actually had a quiet, solid season and is graded currently as the second best corner in the whole NFL. All we need to do is trust that the tape don't lie and let him continue to start over Ward when Ward returns from injury. We weren't trusting the tape and we were continuing to start Ward. Also, to fix the secondary, I'd love to see the team sign free agent safety Trey Boston. Boston is a free agent after an average 2020 season, but in 2019, he was one of the best coverage safeties in the NFL. Bringing him in to compete with Thornhill and make sure that Sorensen can make it to the bench full time would go a very long way into fixing the defensive backs. The Chiefs defense has to be salvaged. It has to be changed if the Chiefs don't want to throw away the season. And now that we're 3-3 instead of 2-4, we got a chance. So let's do it. Let's change this defense. With just a few signings and some depth chart moves, they can do just that. But they're going to actually have to decide to make those right depth chart decisions. They're going to need to believe that the tape don't lie. Now, with the game out of the way, let's talk recent news. In heartbreaking news, up and coming tight end Jody Fortson, after catching an amazing 27-yard pass, just incredible catch on Sunday. Later in the game, he went down with a non-contact injury. You knew it looked bad, and it is a torn Achilles. Fortson looks like he could be a great pass catcher, but he just can't catch a break. In other news, starting running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire missed the game due to an MCL sprain. Now he's on IR, and the team seems to be hoping that he's going to return about week 9 or 10 in the season. The Chiefs picked up preseason star Derek Gore to fill the roster spot, and man, I really hope they're exploring a trade for Colts running back Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is on the trade block publicly, and he has played well for the Colts. He would step in as the Chiefs' best running back. In other news, suddenly the right tackle position has become really unclear. Lucas Niang started the first 5 games of the season, but Mike Rimmers actually got the start against Washington, though Niang did have a hamstring injury. He practiced during the week and he was active, so we're not sure, but it kind of looks like the team is making a change there. In other Chiefs news, Patrick Mahomes' brother Jackson is an idiot. After recently being caught on video pouring water on opposing fans' heads at a game, Jackson this Sunday decided to dance right on top of a tribute to Sean Taylor. Former Great Washington safety Taylor, who died in 2007, was having his number retired during the game. It was a very solemn moment for Washington fans. And that's when Jackson decided to do his dumb little dance to record it for TikTok. And he did it right on Taylor's number, 21. I mean, that's just disrespectful. And I hope Patrick invites his little brother to start watching games from the couch. In more encouraging Chiefs news, Tyreek Hill has now caught 414 receptions in his career. He moves into 5th place all time for the Chiefs franchise, so way to go, Tyreek. And to finish up our news for the week, fun stat: Patrick Mahomes leads the entire league in rushing yards per carry. Yes, he's been rushing 7 yards per carry, just over 7 yards, and he leads the whole NFL. Moving on to next week, the Chiefs are going to take on the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee this Sunday afternoon. The key to the game, well, you could probably guess it. The key to the game is going to be whether the Chiefs defense can hold back the most feared running back in the entire NFL, Derrick Henry. I think Mahomes is going to have a big day through the air. The Chiefs, I'm hoping, are going to keep things going on offense, and I'm going to say the Chiefs are going to win this one by 7. Thanks for watching the Red and Gold Report. Before you go, take just a second to like, subscribe, all those good things to make sure you get these weekly Chiefs updates. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs!